I think the biggest thing for me would be if the person that's initiating the project is more fixated on how the service is going to impact them more than the person that the service is for. So essentially when we serve, it's to benefit the people that we're serving. And I know a lot of people do serve because it makes them feel good inside, but I think that creates issues in the long run because we're not as intentional as we should be when we're serving these individuals.
When someone wants to do something just to look on their resume or in the interview, and they say, "Oh, I did this," but only because they want them to like look good and have other people be like, "Oh, that person, care a lot about the community."
Some people, they'll do service and don't have to talk about it, but they're doing service. And then some people want to do service and then cameras are rolling and they're trying to get all of this and that.
You can prioritize short-term relief or short-term emergency assistance. But if you keep going along with that path, then that's going to create a cycle of dependency that will create longer lasting effects. It'll do more harm than good.
You're creating some sort of division between us and them, and we're doing the service and they're here to receive it.
I would say that toxic charity is where there's no really consideration for what that act of charity is and who it really impacts or what kind of infrastructure it is.
Say you're doing a coat drive, but they don't need coats, so now they have an excess of coats, and that's another problem because they don't know what to do with these coats, but they really needed education on mental health, or they needed some source of food. So now they have an excess of coats and they still don't have that education on mental health.
I believe when I feel that the interaction is transactional and that it's not coming from a place of true altruism. It's great to feel like you did something good for the community, but that shouldn't be the only thing that is received, and you shouldn't just feel that way. The community should also feel like something was done here, something was bettered.
When you're doing an act of service but not really considering the demographic at hand, not knowing what they actually need, and just doing something just to say that you did it.
Y'all just want to do it for publicity. You could say competition versus another fraternity or sorority. They're just trying to do it to make sure their name is higher on the society bracket than the other person.
I mean, you can go out in the community and observe a few things, that's fine. But you could also be wrong because of perspective. The best course of action is to always ask the community what they want, what they need, and include them in that process, in that planning stage. Because if you create something like an event, but you didn't ask them if that was what was necessary, then it was pretty much a complete, I won't say waste of time and service, but you could have used that energy somewhere else.
You'll see something and you're like, okay, this person needs this, but we never actually took the time to ask this individual or ask these group of people if they needed this. We just made that assumption based off of one thing.
Both parties can benefit from it because there's something to be learned from other people, regardless of how you may view them. If you think that they're lesser than you, they still can provide you with something. Even if it's not something physical, there's something to be learned.
Mr. Mingo, Mr. Jerry Mingo, he is a pillar in this community. I adore him. He has this annual youth summit with the Burns Hill Neighborhood Association every year. And there are, I think they're middle school age children. But what he's doing is reaching out to them saying, hey, if there's something you want to learn, then we can help you do that by bringing in different leaders in the community that are specialized in different skills. So he's bringing those resources to those children so then they can eventually bring it back to their families. And then that'll break cycles.
Good service to me is doing acts of kindness out of selflessness and without a need for gratitude or thanks.
Go to a local church or something like that and just be in their presence, gaining relationships outside of just the logo or brand of whatever you're a part of. that's big. And then they see, okay, well, he's just a normal person just like me. He's not trying to rep his fraternity or sorority. He's actually here because he cares and, you know, he wants to gain relationships with us.
Just ask for their story and what you could potentially do to help. And keep that personal connection going, keep that bond going. So then you could eventually bring them up to a level where it's like, oh, you're fine, you have the resources, you can do this yourself. It's all about independence at the end of the day.
I think in short, good service acknowledges the feelings and the needs of the individuals that we're serving. So we're ensuring that we're serving them in the best of their abilities based on what it is that they're telling us and not just based on what it is that we see and what we think they may need.
I feel like sympathy, you're creating distance from the community and yourself. Like you don't want to do certain things or you feel bad for them, but empathy, it's like, there is no difference between you and the other person. Like you could be in whatever situation that they might be in, or you could be in their shoes, or you're putting yourself in their shoes. So you want to see them better themselves.
I think the difference between sympathy and empathy is that everyone can feel sympathy. You can always feel for one another, but to really empathize with one another is either to walk through that issue hand in hand that someone is facing because it's emotionally, mentally, physically something that is an experience.
They're gonna definitely see this person, oh, they don't want to help me. They just want, you know, feel better about themselves or something like that. Like, I don't want that help, even though I need help, but I don't want to receive help from that kind of person.
So when you're serving people, it may be a little bit difficult for them to accept the help to begin with. So you don't want to make them more uncomfortable than the situation already may be. So sympathizing with them and just kind of feeling sorry for them, I don't think will be beneficial versus when you're empathizing with them and you're telling them like, oh, I can feel your pain. Like, I understand where it is that you're coming from. How can I help you? That will make the service project a lot more meaningful and make the people that are being served value the work a lot more.